How's it going, guys? Andrew here with Justified EDC, and today I have a review for you of the Crossroad Custom Orlok. This big fixed blade right here. This is a little bit out of my normal wheelhouse for kind of EDC fixed blades, but I really appreciate Caleb at Crossroad Custom sending this over for me to check out. I've really enjoyed the other knives I've had from him, and he was very generous to send this along for me so I can review it, and he even is allowing me to keep it, so big thank you to him. That's always very generous when makers are willing to do that. But just a disclaimer, this was sent to me, but it will not affect what I say about it in the review. I will always speak my mind. Before we get into specs and size comparisons and the full review and all that good stuff, I have to thank the sponsor of the channel, Auxiliary Manufacturing. Mike over at Auxiliary Manufacturing is doing really cool stuff, custom fixed blades. He's making big moves, going to all sorts of shows, new models. He's doing some dressier stuff recently with the knives, so if you're interested in American-made custom fixed blades, definitely go check him out. I will have links to his Instagram and website in the description, and thank you again to Auxiliary Manufacturing for sponsoring the channel. So, let's get right into this here. First I will get you specs, and then we'll get into the rest of it here. So, what we're looking at here, size-wise, is, we'll line this up here, you're looking at about 3¼ inches of cutting length with your actual full blade length back to the handle being right about 3½ inches. Your handle length is right about at 5 inches with about 4½, 4¾ of grip area. You have a Nitro V, drop point blade, 1/8 inch blade stock, high flat grind, secondary bevel. Your handles here are a gray Taro Tough, which, if you're not familiar with that, is similar to a micarta, something like that. So slightly different properties, a little bit different to work with, but in all intents and purposes, in terms of feel and hand and how it performs, very similar to micarta. Let's get the scale out here, because I always forget to do weight, so we're going to do that right away here at the beginning. So the knife itself, you're looking at 4.6 ounces, and with the sheath coming in at 6.6 ounces. So not the lightest knife in the world, but for the size, a decently lightweight knife. If I didn't mention it as well, the scales here are scalloped and contoured a little bit. At the thickest point, they are just under a 1/2 inch thick. So enough to fill the hand, but not super thick either, especially for this pocket sheath when it's in the pocket. Nice slim profile. So now with the specs out of the way, we are going to get into some size comparisons here. Let's do some fixed blades first. Let's do some classic fixed blades that you guys will recognize. Here is the Buck 119, I think is the model number. I always mix up the Buck model numbers, but kind of your classic big hunting style knife. And another classic, the SE Azula, kind of some ones that everyone in the knife community should be familiar with. If you're not, go check out both of these knives. Let's see, what else should we do here. Here's another Crossroad Custom knife, the Wesker, which when I was doing the intro to this video, I had to redo about 3 times because I kept calling this the Wesker. But this is a smaller knife, a little more self-defense oriented. But there's that. And let's do a BW knife. If you're unfamiliar with Crossroad Custom and BW knives, they are a father and son duo. So this is made by Brad BW Knives, who is Crossroad Custom's dad. Very similar materials here. You have Nitro V actually on all 3 of these. Same kind of Taro Tough, but much different profiles and uses. And let's do some folders here. So classic, this is actually a really good size comparison here. The American knife to end all American knives, the Buck 110, is actually pretty much exactly the same in overall length. Much different profile, but... And then another kind of classic American knife, the Trapper. This happens to be a K-bar, but you can swap this out for any of the other brands, the full-size Trappers. That's the exact same profile. And let's see, let's do some modern folders. The old standbys here. Spyderco Para 3. And the Hogue Deca. You can see that. And the last one, the as I like to call it, Gonzo Delica. Exact same overall size as a Spyderco Delica. So that should give you a pretty good size range here. Oh, and you know, just for shits and giggles, because I have it in my pocket today, the TRM Nerd, which is absolutely dwarfed by the Orlok here. But I just did a mod. I just got this in, just did a mod to it, had it in my pocket today, so I figured we'd throw it on the table. So that will do it for size comparisons. Back out here. So let's get into the actual design of the knife and my thoughts on it after using it. So I've had this for, I don't know, maybe close to 2 months now, month and a half, 2 months. And I have carried it for EDC. I've carried it for camping and doing some kind of bushcrafty outdoor stuff with it. And I've carried it at work as well. It's done pretty well with pretty much everything I've thrown at it, to be honest. This is a little bit bigger than I would normally carry for EDC. I wear medium-sized gloves. If I choke all the way up on here, you definitely have some extra grip in the handle, but that does give you some options of choking back and choking up on the handle. But the grind on here lends itself very well to both EDC and outdoors kind of stuff. I know a lot of you outdoors guys like your convex grinds, your Scandi grinds. I don't do enough of that stuff to warrant having dedicated knives for that purpose. So I really like when knives can kind of cross between those two worlds. And the flat grind that they have on this with that secondary bevel actually did quite well for wood processing. As you can see by the coating on here wearing off, he usually has a very dark stonewash on here, but it's started to wear off with all the abuse that I put it through the other weekend. I actually did split wood with this, which was quite the experience, but it did it. It took it like a champ. The Nitro V on here did exceedingly well. Not a single chip on it, and still cuts paper afterwards. I'm incredibly impressed after the use that I put on it and splitting wood that it still held a very nice edge. You know what? I never cut paper on camera because I always make a fool of myself because doing it underneath the camera is kind of hard and it always looks like I just can't cut where the knife is dull. But these were the cuts I was doing right before the video just to verify the edge here. But let's see if we can... Yeah, it still cuts paper just fine. I have no way to prove to you that I didn't sharpen this after, but that is the edge after a couple weeks of EDC use and some outdoor stuff, and the Nitro V held up very well. So as I always say in here, you guys are probably sick of me hearing me talk about Nitro V, but I'm going to keep doing it because I think it's awesome. But the heat treat being used on here is the same one that BW, Kistner, Offensive Auxiliary, all those guys use. And again, like I say in all of those guys' reviews, whatever heat treat they're using on here, it does wonders to the Nitro V, because Nitro V, while its main qualities that people use it for are it being a very tough steel while also being stainless, it doesn't usually have a ton of edge retention, but whatever kind of heat treat they're doing to this, it does have a decent amount of edge retention. It's not going to beat out your Magna Cuts and your 20 CVs and your M390s and all those kind of fancy new steels, but it will perform very well. It's very easy to sharpen. It's very easy to maintain. A couple strokes on a strop every once in a while will keep it maintained, and then when you do actually have to end up sharpening it, it will not take much. I use the Spyderco Sharp Maker for all my sharpening, and it's very easy to sharpen with. So I have not sharpened this guy yet, but if it's anything like the other Nitro V, I'm sure it will be easy to do. So the handle here, you guys know I usually prefer pretty much a neutral handle. I think that kind of doing cutouts and ergonomic cuts and stuff like that is kind of silly. That will be a whole nother video that I'm planning, but I'm fine with ergonomics and cuts and choils and contours and stuff as long as it doesn't impede actually using the knife in all different kinds of grips, which this one does very well. It is not just completely neutral, but it is neutral enough that I can use it in hammer grip, saber grip, forward, reverse, reverse grip edge out, reverse grip edge in, pinch grips, all that good stuff. So it's a very versatile handle. One thing I will say is when I was kind of batoning with it and splitting wood, the thinner handle after a while did start to hurt my hand a little bit. Again, I don't think he ever intended anyone to baton and split wood with this. I just wanted to see if it could do it. He does make some of these with thicker handles, And I think for that kind of purpose, like if you were buying this as an outdoors knife, I think go with the thicker handles. It would probably be a little bit more comfortable to use for extended periods of time. For the kind of feather sticking and stuff that I did with this knife, these handle thickness was just fine. It is very comfortable, and I prefer the thinner ones for EDC because look how thin that is in profile. So in terms of being able to carry this in your pocket, for such a large knife, it's very easy to carry. But again, if you were going to do hard use with this in terms of like outdoors where you're going to be taking a lot of shock to this and it's going to be rattling through your hand, the thicker handles might help alleviate some of that. But other than that, I did not have any problems with this knife at all. It performed extremely well. In terms of using this for any kind of self-defense purposes, I mean, a drop point blade isn't the most, isn't like what I would exactly go to for that, but this will definitely do the job, especially having a very grippy handle material here, a full-size handle you can definitely hold on to. You can thumb cap this no problem, and it is comfortable in both of your kind of reverse grips. The longer blade does give you a little bit more reach. If you choke back on here, you can definitely reach out and touch someone with that. My preferred thing is reverse edge, like reverse grip edge in, which you can do with this just fine. I did some tip tests with this where I stab it into wood and pry both ways. Tip held up just fine. No damage to that at all. So if you were going to use this for that, that would work just fine. I think it's kind of more of the thing of like if you're carrying it for EDC or whatever and you have to push it into that use case, it will do just fine. But this is definitely more of a work knife, which it does extremely well at that. The edge thickness is, I'd say, a little bit thinner than some of the other 1/8" blade stocks that I've had from him and BW, probably just because it is a higher grind, so it's coming down a little bit thinner of an edge. So for as big of a blade as this is, and for having 1/8" blade stock, this slices very well. Cardboard processing was a dream with this, no problem. Secondary edge bevel came very, very sharp. But yeah, I don't really have anything else negative to say about it. My experience with this was very good. I guess the only other thing I would warn you about is if you're going to get it with the Offensive Industries deep carry sheath for pocket carry, the amount of sheath that you're going to have in your pocket, let me line it up here as I drop it all over the table, is just over, probably where the clip's sitting, right about 7 inches. So if you have shallower pockets, this probably isn't going to work for you. The only real place that it fits for me, and now some of my jeans this doesn't fit in, my Levi's it does fit if I sit it in the front of the pocket, kind of like on my right side, front of the pocket like that. So it's very easy to come in here, grab it in forward grip, come in here, grab it in reverse grip. It is long, it is a lot in the pocket, but it is doable. I think if I had to, like I said, this combination was already made when he offered to send it to me. I think I would probably go with just a standard height ambidextrous sheath, just because I think it'd be something like this would be easier to carry inside the waistband or something like that. But if you want to pocket carry a larger fixed blade, this is definitely doable. I'm going to put money on the fact that this is lighter than that Buck 110 that I was talking about earlier. Again, if you look at the Buck 110 right next to the Orlok, they are pretty much the exact same overall size, but Buck 110 is coming in at 7.3 ounces, and what did I say, 6 point something earlier on this with the sheath? Yeah, 6.7 ounces. So it's actually, this package here is actually lighter than your Buck 110. So I know the Buck 110 isn't exactly the pinnacle of a modern folding knife, but just to give you an example of a folder that is that size. Let me see if I can find anything that even comes close. I don't have a lot of big modern folders. Here's the Emerson CQC10. That's actually about the exact same size. Let's see. This is kind of off the cuff. We're just going to kind of do a comparison here. I've been trying to be the evangelist for EDC fixed blades because a lot of people are intimidated by carrying them for size and weight and all that. Let's see. So this is coming in about 5 ounces. So this is a little a little bit lighter, a little bit smaller, but again, if you want a big fixed blade, I don't think this is as intimidating as you think, especially if you got an inside the waistband sheath for this. You could easily tuck this in the front of your waistband, forget about it. Very easy to use, nice and lightweight, and you don't have to worry about locks failing on you, which is super cool. So, if I didn't give you a close-up of the sheath here, Offensive Industries, deep carry, pocket sheath. You can put the knife in either way. No rattle, no play, solid retention, as always. This is the best way to pocket carry a fixed blade. So, again, another very straightforward fixed blade review, guys. Fixed blades aren't as hard to figure out if they're going to be good as folders are. It's very easy to tell kind of over the internet whether or not they're going to be a good, useful design. I just try to do these to kind of give you size comparisons and show you stuff in hand just to give you a better idea, but it's not complicated. I don't want to rant on too long about this, but this is another solid offering from Crossroad Customs. Please go check him out. I will leave links to his Instagram and his website down in the description. Please go support him. Again, thank you to Auxiliary Manufacturing for sponsoring the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.